Alright, so, this is my Sith Q&A. If you guys are wondering, yeah, I did this time not one, but 2 Q&As. The other one will be out later. As always, if you'd like to be part of that Q&A, because that one's still getting questions, and it's going to be the Power Rangers Q&A. So, as always, if you guys would like to be part of that Q&A, just hit the link below, head on to my Patreon, hit the second tier. And then you guys can start sending questions to me on that video. Yeah, I was like, you know what? I wanted to do 2 Q&A videos because I was like, I want to do this one, but I also really want to do that one, and I don't want to wait, and it gives me something to do in the future. And the reason why I'm doing this first is in honor of Star Wars The Acolyte. And as you can see, it's the Sith Q&A. So it's going to be all about the going into the dark side of the Force. So as always, I'd like to thank everyone who sent in questions for this Q&A. And yeah, let's get started with our first set of questions coming from Tom Hibbert, who asks, which anime character could you see being a Sith? Honestly, I think like Legato Blue Summers from Trigun would make a great Sith. I think Naraku could be a Sith Lord. Darth Naraku already sounds like a Sith Lord name, doesn't it? I would say Beryl, Queen Beryl from Sailor Moon. That's another one. There's so many. That's the thing. Like, there's a lot. But those are just a few. Anyway, second question. Do you feel like the Jedi are more corrupted than the Sith? Basically, there's a lot more, but he's just saying, like, hey, are the Jedi more corrupted than the Sith? Corrupted is not the right word I would use in this scenario. You see, corrupted... blinded is the better word, I would say. That's just, but this is just me saying, like, yeah, blinded is the much better term for this matter, because the Jedi were had gotten to a point where the Sith could easily sneak back into the galaxy without them noticing. I'm sure, like, the Acolyte is going to talk more about that, but yeah. The Jedi became so powerful that, like... And the other thing is, the Force abhors a lack of balance. That's why Palpatine was so powerful, was because the Jedi had grown so powerful, and the Force, abhors a imbalance, even if it is the light side of the Force. So that's why Palpatine was so powerful, was because the Jedi had gotten so powerful. It's also why I think because Rise of Skywalker ruined this. Why it was so easily to explain why Rey was so powerful in the Force. It was the Force willed her to be so powerful to challenge Kylo Ren and Snoke. They had the dark side had grown powerful, so Rey was given all this power by the Force because it was supposed to counterbalance, Kylo Ren. But then they just made her Palpatine's daughter, and that explains it. There you go. Fine. Fuck. But yeah, that's it's not so much the Jedi became corrupt, it was more that they became blinded to the power that they had and became arrogant, and therefore the light in the galaxy, overshadowed everything, and the Force was like, that's too much. We're gonna fix that real quick.
While you're doing,
Sorry about that. Anyway, so yeah, that's just kind of my 2 cents on the matter. Third question. Would you be interested in seeing a Sith that wasn't evil and more of an anti-hero? In the original canon, we did get a few anti-hero Sith, and it gave them a little more complexity. I would not so much, because then you just get gray Jedi. That's the thing, is that anti-hero Sith is just gray Jedi. And I've never cared about gray Jedi. Like, I've never given a single fuck about gray Jedi. I'm sorry, but here's the thing. I would like to see more complex Sith. I'd like to see more different characters of Sith that are a little more complex in storytelling. Like, they're not evil just for the sake of being evil. Like, they have reasoning, like Anakin did. And that's the thing I think Filoni doesn't get about the Sith, is just making them like, oh, once you're evil, you stay evil. I'm like, really? Because Anakin wasn't like that. I have a very, Filoni does some cool things, but I really don't like. I don't jump on his dick like everyone else does. I know, controversial hot take. Anyway, so that's just my thoughts. Maybe we'll get that in the Acolyte. Who knows? Think of those questions, Tom. Moving on to David Deister, who asks, if you could have one Sith Lord have a movie, who would you choose? I know it's going to be the basic bitch answer, but I would like to see Vader get a 6-episode miniseries. And I know we've had Vader a lot, but I would love to see a Vader like we don't. I want to see more of the Dark Times storyline, more of the 20-year gap. I would like to see Vader, him train. I'd love to see him, and I know it's in the comics, but I'd love to see Vader training the Inquisitors. I would love to on Mustafar. I would love to see more of Fortress Vader, and maybe tie in like his hunt for like a Jedi, maybe Quinlan Vos. For other Sith, more that are outside of it. If you don't want the basic bitch answer, I would say a Sith I would love to see get their own show. Not Darth Maul. I'll tell you that right now. I'm sick of the fucker. My pick would actually be for another Sith show. Would actually be Darth Maul. Darth Maul would be a really cool one because again, we go back like I was saying earlier. We talk about like complex Sith. He's loyal to the Empire, but the Sith Empire. But also he has like his reservations about the whole shit too. He's like, yeah, this whole matter can be like it's pretty corrupted in its own right, and it's and the Sith Empire will crumble unless I do shit to stop it. So he's a way more complex character. He's evil, but he's also not stupid. Like he'll team up with the Jedi to stop like Darth Vitite from being a thing. I hated when they killed off Mar. So, and I don't mind when you kill off characters, especially in Star Wars, because God knows when you keep them around too long. But it's how they killed him that pissed me off. It's just so unceremoniously. But yeah, there you go. Which Sith could kill Rey? Hashtag fuck the sequel. I don't like the sequel trilogy. I think Rise of Skywalker killed it. I do have a lot of misgivings about Rise of Skywalker because I really loved Last Jedi, and I've gone over this enough. I'm not one of those people who's like fuck Rey and Rey sucks as a character and Rey's a Mary Sue. Sorry, hydrating. I'm not one of those people. I hate questions like this because it's just like, ooh, I want to have Schadenfreude and just kill off the character. If anyone could kill Rey, though, it would be Vitite. That I'm just for the sake of answering the question. Third question: what non-canon Sith story from the old EU would you make canon again? Probably Darth Plagueis, even though they kind of like, is it canon? Is it not? I don't fucking know. I would say yes, it is canon. Here's the story. It's canonized. There you go. I would also say maybe, the Bane trilogy. Obviously. There you go. The Darth Bane trilogy. Make that canon, even though they've kind of tap danced around it being canon already. So, yeah. So, Darth Bane and Darth Plagueis novels. There you go. What else? Oh, yeah. So, there you go. Thank you for those questions, David Deister. Moving on now to Lamont Benson. And he asks, which 3 Sailor Guardians, Rey, Ami, and Makoto, would be interesting Sith apprentices? None, because the whole thing about the Sailor Guardians is they're all pure of heart. Like, so, there's no way they could be turned into Sith. There's no goddamn way any of them can be Sith because they're all pure. That's the whole point of why they're Sailor Guardians. They can't really be corrupted. And don't get me started on the live action. Oh, but what about the Dark Ami story? That was live action, different continuity. And also like the whole and also Chibi Moon. That was dark magic. Becoming a Sith you have to do it of your own volition. That's not going to happen with these characters, so no. What are your thoughts on the Inquisitors from Disney canon? They're alright, they're canon fodder, though. I wish, Reva, rewatching... I used to not like Reva, but but after rewatching the Obi-Wan show again, I really like that like there's some depth there, but I do feel like her character should have been killed off because her story arc feel like it ended there, so now we don't have need of her, and now she's just going to be a character that we're only going to see in like comics or maybe a novel. They're never going to bring this character back. That poor actress suffered so much, by the way. Fuck everyone who did that to her, by the way. God, Star Wars fans hate nothing more, like, hate Star Wars the most. Anyway, so I like them. They're just there to be cannon fodder, though, because we can't have Vader fight everybody, and also sometimes you gotta have someone to fight to make your character look cool. That's what they are. That's really what the if you can't use like fucking Vader all the time because you know they're either outmatched or you have to have a way to have like, oh, they escaped Darth Vader. You can only do that so many times. That's like they're really just there to make the character look cool. That's it. Anyway, where was I going with this? What was I doing? Yeah. So thank you for that question. Third question: what Sith Lord would you never want to see make an appearance in any media ever again? Darth Vidite. I'm sick of his ass. Like, and I know I'll go further into it because I got a question on Vidite, but like Vidite really burned out his welcome. Like he really wore out his welcome hard. Like, and I'll get more into it later. But there's another one I would not want to. I don't want to see, and this is kind of up in the air. Starkiller. I generally do not like Starkiller. I'm saying some really, like, hot take shit in this Star Wars Q&A, ain't I? Starkiller, yeah, Starkiller is just... If you want to talk about, like, Mary Sue's and Gary Stews, there you go. Like, yes, it gave us Sam Witwer, who does a vastly better job as Maul and all the other characters he plays. And he actually, like, give him credit because, like, I've been watching interviews of Sam Witwer, and he talked about, like, how he got the role for Starkiller was because he was doing, like, do a scene of meditating, and, like, he was getting, like, angry and frustrated, and then the guy's like, that was a really good take, but, like, we've done this 3 times, why are you so angry about meditating? He's like, because that's what a Sith would do. Vader would never train his apprentice to be calm, to have inner thoughts, and you have to, like, the Sith are, like, trying to bend the Force to their will. And the people at Lucasfilms heard that and were like, yeah, him. And also, like, Witwer also rewrote a lot of the dialogue because he knows these characters. He rewrote a lot of the dialogue for, like, Palpatine and all that. Yeah, so it gave us Sam Witwer. That's the best thing. But playing those games again, you can clearly see it is just a God of War ripoff in Star Wars. I'm sorry, that's what it is. The Jedi, like, a lot of the EA Star Wars games are garbage, but we can all agree, I think we can all agree, hang on, that this is a much better version of the game than Force Unleashed. Yeah. Yeah. This guy right here, much better and more interesting character than Starkiller. There, I fucking said it. Sorry, that's been building for a while. Anyway, so there you go. There's my answer. Thank you for those questions, Lamont. Moving on now to Rory, who asks, who is your favorite Sith? Palpatine. Palpatine for a multitude of reasons. I know, like, everyone's like, really, Palpatine? That's your favorite Sith? He's my favorite Star Wars character in general. Why? Because he fucking won. Yeah, and you could say, like, oh, he didn't win, he died 30 years. He won after defeating, he did what no Sith had done since the Old Republic had done eons ago, right? He did something, he basically, like, took over the Republic out from the Jedi's nose, and they were too blinded to not see that coming. So, yeah, the dude had schemes, the dude had plans, and on top of that, I know, like, the whole thing of, like, oh, Palpatine cloned himself. That's so dumb. Have none of you read a Dark Horse comic? I swear to God, sometimes you Star Wars fans fucking sick, like, make me question being a Star Wars fan. And also, like, while I'm on this soapbox again, to everyone saying the light whip that you saw in Acolyte is dumb, motherfucker, you are not a real Star Wars fan, because you clearly forgot Luminara. You clearly forgot, you know, that was a big thing in the old canon that you love so much. You're just mad because it's a black woman using it. That's what it is. Yeah. Man, this is bringing out all my anger. I feel like a true Sith here. Like, yes, good, and give in to your anger. Anyway, so there you go. Quick answer, Palpatine. Second question: who is your favorite? Who would win in a fight between Darth Vader and Batman? Vader. Like, it's not even a contest. Vader. Like, you could say, like, oh, Batman could, like, shut off his life support system. Yeah, the Force would keep him alive. And not only that, Vader could just go, crush. Like, yeah, just grab him, use the Force to grab him, to grab Bruce, like, midair if he's going for a flying kick or whatever, and then just twist him like a pretzels can. Oh, but Batman, what if he had prep time? Doesn't matter. Doesn't fucking matter. You know, that's... Like, I've always hated the whole, oh, Batman can beat anybody with prep time. No, he can't. He's even said, I can't, even if I do prep for it, I can't expect the unexpected. Ugh. Fucking A. Who is stronger, Darth Sidious or Aku? That's easy, Aku. Aku's literally a entity of dark matter that it took 3 gods from 3 different pantheons to fight. And while and though a mere human defeated him, it was through a magic sword. And not to mention, Aku is just literally just feeds off of evil. So, yeah, Aku's the winner here. So thank you for those questions, Rory. Cyborg 19.99, his first question is, what would the Sith and Decepticons think of each other? I think the Sith Empire would see the Decepticons as, like, a worthy ally, and the Decepticons would be like, ew, no. Your force powers and the ships are really cool, and we could use that, but, like, other than that, get the fuck out of our sight. Like, yeah, we don't want to be seen with you. There you go. Second question. What non-comic characters do you see joining the Sith? Let's see. I think I'm going to answer this one because it's non-comic in general, not just anime. So I would say probably the ones I would pick would be like, Azula would be cool. Yeah, Azula from Avatar. I would say... Yeah, Azula. It's kind of the really only one I could be like, yeah, I could see as holding a red lightsaber. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Cyborg. Moving on now to Jason Voorhees 2011, who asks, what other species in the galaxy would you like to see a Sith become a Sith that hasn't already? Okay, so basically, in-universe aliens in Star Wars. Good question. I don't think we've ever gotten a Sith that was Kit Fisto's species. I forget their name, but yeah, one of Kit Fisto's species being a Sith. I think that'd be a really cool image. I would say, who else would be good? Like, what's another one? I was about to say Bith, but that's what Tenebris was a Bith. So we've had a Bith Sith Lord. I would say, fuck. Maybe one of Cad Bane's species? I forget their name. It's not Aquilish. But yeah, one of Cad Bane's species would be cool as a Sith. I don't think we've gotten that. So there you go. So those are my answers. Although a Wookiee Sith would be terrifying. Second question. Who do you believe are the most successful Sith? Who do you believe were the most successful Sith master and apprentice? Now, normally the answer would be Palpatine and Vader because, yeah, they ruled the galaxy. I would say, however, I think the most successful Sith, it's a toss-up between, Palpatine's involved in this, is between Bane and Zana and Palpatine and Plagueis. Let me explain. It's a toss-up between those two. The reason why Bane and Zana would be in talks for most successful Sith and apprentice was because Bane basically wiped out the Sith, and he only had one thing to go on, was Zana as his apprentice. And the two basically had to, hide themselves and start the Great Rule of Two. That was their whole thing, was they had to start the Rule of Two and essentially begin the work of the Sith that would lead to 1,000, to the Sith revealing themselves once more to the galaxy, leading to Palpatine. Now, the reason I also say Palpatine and Plagueis, and not Palpatine and Vader, was because Palpatine and Plagueis, Sidious and Plagueis, because Sidious and Plagueis put everything into motion to put Palpatine on the throne and make a new Sith Order, through that. So that's why it's basically they had to set everything up meticulously to put the plan so perfectly in motion. So that's why I say Bane and Zana and Sidious and Plagueis. Alright, third question. Okay, let's get this one out of the way since now it's technically happening. Thoughts on Darth Jar Jar theory? I hate it. I always fuck it. It's the dumb. I think it just started as a meme and people just took it too seriously. I always fucking hated it. It's just... Now, was Jar Jar manipulated? Yes. Does that make him a Sith? No. If anything, even in canon, Jar Jar is just a guy who's now a clown and he just wants to entertain kids. So, no, I always hated it. And if you're wondering why it's technically happening, it's in a Lego Star Wars event over on Disney+. I don't know if that's out already, but, yep. Yeah, because, you want to make things fun for the kids, and, you're still hip and relevant, right? Anyway. So, thank you for those questions, Jason. Moving on now to Bill McLaughlin, who asks, which version of the Sith Order is your favorite? When you say which version, I assume you mean the old Sith Empire, or the Rule of Two, or I guess the First Order era. My favorite era, I do like the Rule of Two era, because it gave us some of the most popular characters. I do like the Sith Empire, though. I do like seeing the Sith at the height of their rule. That gave us Mar and Malgus. Shit. Backtracking that question from, who was it? Backtracking back to, who asked that question? David Deister. Malgus would be another pick for me. Darth Malgus should get a movie. But I would say the Sith Empire is definitely a lot of fun. Really enjoyed that one. There you go. Second question. Who do you believe was the Sithari, the Sith's chosen one? It's always hinted that the Sithari was Palpatine. Even he believed it. And I would say that it's probably the case is that, because again, he was, all roads led to Sidious. All roads led to Darth Sidious being the Sithari. So, I think it was supposed to be him. What was it? Third question. How do you think things would have turned out had Darth Malgus successfully succeeded in becoming the Emperor? A lot of people ask, what if Malgus did succeed in becoming the Sith Emperor? I think it would have been a stronger empire. It would have been a much more focused and united empire, rather than all the backstabbing from the Dark Council and all the infighting among the Dark Council. So I do think it would have been a much more successful and more well-governed. And I think with Malgus leading the helm, I think the Sith Empire would have easily crushed the Republic and the Jedi at the time. So thank you for those questions, Bill. Moving on now to Brittany Digger, who asks, what are your thoughts on Emperor Vittite? This is the question I was waiting for. Vittite was a cool character. He was like the dark side of... he was very much like the dark side of Star Wars, right? Like, he was this alpha and omega of evil. But then they just kept using him and using him. He just got overused. He got so overused, and it almost became ridiculous as to how many times he came back. He's a cool character, but then they just kept using him, overexposing him, to the point where it's like, oh, you thought it was this guy, but really it was me, Darth Vittite, the whole time. It's literally the Dio meme. So while he's cool, he just got overexposed, in my opinion. Second question. What would you want in a canon story about Exar Kun? I would love Exar Kun to come back in canon. I would say, like, my pick would probably, like, my story would probably be the Exar Kun War. I would love to see the Exar Kun War done as a movie or like a mini series. He's almost like he's almost very much like Horus from the Horus Heresy in Warhammer 40k. In fact, there's a lot. Now that I think about it, there is a lot of connection between Exar Kun and Horus. But that's a video for another time, I guess. But thank you for that question. Third question. Who do you think was a better Darth... who do you think was a better character, Darth Caedus or Kylo Ren? I didn't really care much for Caedus and Kylo Ren. Like, all of his character development got shat on. Excuse me. Like, all of his character development went right out the goddamn window with his character. Caedus, mildly interesting, but, like, at the same time, it's like, man, this whole rule of one thing is fucking dumb. I would give it slightly to Caedus, even though he's just an over edgelord. Kylo Ren is a over edgelord too, but like all of the interesting stuff they were building up for in Last Jedi, say it with me now, got shit on because of Rise of Skywalker. Anyway, thank you for those questions, Brittany. Moving on now to Christopher Rosa, who asks, what are your thoughts on the one Sith from Star Wars Legacy comic and their Rule of One? Like I just said with the Darth Caedus thing, I thought it was kind of dumb. It just didn't feel like it worked for me. Probably because, like, okay, then why, if you were the Rule of One, why, that would mean every Darksider would be just fighting over to be called the one Sith. Like, it's, like, the whole point is you're supposed to pass on the knowledge, and then the apprentice takes over and then and then starts the whole thing. It's not like, you know, whatever the hell Cadence was trying to do. I feel like it was just trying to be the whole thing with Darth Caedus was just supposed to be, I guess, you know, we're doing something different with the Sith. Really? Because you just feels like you crippled the Sith even more by having them more infighting. Anyway. Second question. If you could write a fanfiction of your favorite Sith Lord, what would it be about? I would say probably Malgus, and Malgus going on some... Probably going on a campaign. That's just something simple like that. Third question. Which one of your favorite cartoon heroes and villains would make good Sith apprentices? I think I kind of already answered this one, but this is cartoon, so I guess it's the loophole is that it's cartoon strictly. I'm gonna say, like, I guess, like, Dipper, because I always had that Sith Dipper thing. And again, he really does make a good. He would make a good. He has all the makings of a Sith Lord in the making. I would say, for villain, cartoon villain, like I said, I already said Azula, so there you go. Thank you for those questions, Christopher Rosa. Let's move on now to Nolan Unejo, who asks, let's say you become a Sith, but in instead of revitalizing the Sith Order after Episode 6, how would you improve the Order and plan your rule the galaxy? Not install the rule of 1, that's for sure. Definitely have it more as the rule of 2, but have it that... yeah, no Inquisitors, no nothing. Just one guy, one master, one apprentice. Just reinstall the rule of 2, keep it going, and also not get obsessive with the Jedi. I have a whole galaxy to run. Yeah. Second question, how would you create your own Sith-centric video game? I don't know if I could do like a whole... Like, I would probably set it during the Old Republic era, but not like set during the events of like the Old Republic storylines, just in that timeline, and have it be centered around maybe Malgus. Like if you want to do like Force Unleashed shit with an actual character and recanonize a character, here you go, Darth Malgus. Boom. Probably make it a lot like some God of War gameplay, even though it'd be a God of War ripoff. Something of that nature. I don't know. Third question: if you don't know if you know this character, but can you do a backup question instead? But if what are your thoughts on Lana Beniko from Old Republic? Lana, I like. Lana Beneko was one of, like, again, going back to one of the other questions of, like, talking about how there were a lot of interesting characters in Star Wars, like in the Sith Empire, that were they were still Darksiders, they still had a lot of complexity to them. Lana Beniko was one of those characters. She was definitely, when you think, like, complex Sith Lords, Lana was definitely it. Like, she had... even, like, she would have conversations with Jedi, and even Jedi were like, damn, you're smart. I want to hang out with you now. Yeah. She's definitely a character I would love to see come back into canon. So, there you go. Moving on now to Alistair Bondman, who asks, do you think there's any chance of mutual respect, even symbiosis, between Jedi and the Sith that don't try to basically pull shenanigans? After all, the dark side is itself at least an extent of not evil. There basically was, in the Old Republic, there was a lot of, like, talk between the Jedi, some Jedi and Sith, where they could, like, live in peace. But the thing of it is, peace is a lie for the Sith. At the core of it, there would be probably like an armistice at best between the Jedi and Sith. And there was a lot of, and some Sith are more reasonable than others. But at the end of the day, power is what the Sith crave at the end of the day. So there you go. Second question: which version of Ventress do you like more, if either? Dave Filoni's Clone Wars or old EU Gennady Tartakovsky? And was her return to life pointless? It was. I will say her return to life is one of the few resurrections I'm cool with, because like her death, her quote unquote now death in Dark Disciple sucked. It sucked so much. So they knew it sucked too, and it was like a canon book that no one talked about, and then when everyone was confused, they had to do damage control. So Ventress, I also like more in the Clone Wars, because in the first series, as much as I love the Gennady Tartakovsky series, she's just there to get killed by Anakin. Here, there's like wants and feels and things like that that like there's a character there. So if only they could do that with Grievous, right? But I guess Filoni's only good at writing one stable character at a time. I'm a bitter old Star Wars fan. Fuck you. Yeah. So I'd say it's one of those resurrections I like, because again, like that Dark Disciple sucked so much, and like she was much better in Clone Wars. There you go. Third question. Is it a bit weird? It's been a weird question, but what are your thoughts on the Taldarium Protoss faction from StarCraft 2? Are they a better version of the Sith society than they are deeply predatory? They don't really count as Sith. Like, they don't, like, that's not even, like, I know what you're trying to say of saying, like, oh, they feel like Sith. Not really. They just kind of feel like, if anything, I got more of the Drakari from Warhammer. That's what it really felt more like to me. Anyway, but thank you for those questions, Alistair. Moving on now to Hunter Johnson, who asks, there are people who argue that the Sith are not evil and just misunderstood, but looking at their ideology, they are evil and dark side can be never used for good, which is something I'm worried about and the Acolyte might do. And I want to... You see, again, there are dark side users who use the Force in their own right. And they're a little more complex at that. But at the end of the day, the Sith are meant to be like, peace is a lie, power is the only thing. So... that might be the case with the Acolyte, we'll see, but I don't know. You can be evil, but you can be complex evil. Second question. Which version of Ventress... Oh, wait, that was Alistair's question. Second question. What if Snoke was actually Dark Plagueis the whole time? That would have made that would even made less goddamn sense than Palpatine. While Plagueis was known for, Sith cloning and whatnot, it would have been alright, so why weren't you around? They would have to jump hoops as to why he wasn't around and why Palpatine wasn't obsessed with trying to find him again. So, yeah. Honestly, Snoke should have been his own character. Not to say that, Palpatine, it's logical for Palpatine, come back after all these years. I mean, again, that was the thing in the EU Dark Horse comics, but still, I digress. Third question. What would a hero-villain mashup between the Sailor Guardians Emperor Palpatine look like? Well, considering that, Sailor Moon can literally change reality, I don't think Palpatine's in for a good time. Thank you for those questions, Hunter. Moving on now to, finally, Imagine8, who asks, has it ever been explored what the title of Darth means, and if so, what does it mean? Basically, it's there's more to Darth. Trust me, there's way more to Darth. But to simple it down, because I'm tired, and I feel my voice is starting to go, so, the best way to say it's like a knight. It's like being knighted, like Sir Lancelot and shit like that. There is whole stories about the meaning of Darth, because that was it was a title. It was a title among the Old Republic, and there's more story to that. I highly recommend going to check that out. It's very interesting. Second question. Which of the Sith would be good candidates for the Red Lantern Corps? Oh, Malgus. It's not even a question. Malgus would probably make a great Red Lantern Sith Lord. Not even a debate. Third question. Has there ever been a Star Wars comic story like Transformers Shattered Glass where No. That basically asking if there's been a mirror universe story where the Sith are the good guys, the Jedi aren't. No. They don't really do multiverse stories, but seeing as how, we're now dealing with time travel with the space in between and all that, I wouldn't be shocked if Dave Filoni goes, I bet I can do a multiverse story in Star Wars. And people will love me. I'm Dave Filoni. So no, they haven't done that yet. Alright guys, so that's all the questions I think for this Q&A. I want to thank everyone who sent in questions for this Sith Q&A. Yeah, and like I said, if you'd like to be part of the next Q&A, which is Power Rangers, just hit the link below, head on over to my Patreon, hit the second tier, and that'll allow you to send me questions for the Power Rangers Q&A. But other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in the Multiverse.